In the interest, we're going to make this the last question. The young lady on my right.
Hi, how are you? You raised the issue that the discretionary item budgeting has gone from $1.4 million down to $600,000. Over the last half a dozen years or so, my family has endured tax increase from about $3,500 for the building that we own to over $7,000 now. The property value has not enjoyed that increase. The increase is because of an increase in percentage of tax rate. Okay, at the same time, I'm a teacher. We endure continual information that the school is getting budget cut after budget cut after budget cut after budget cut. What can you do as the city council? One, to investigate and rectify the horrendous property tax increases, maybe level it or figure it out. Or, if you then investigate and find out it's valid or necessary, why isn't that money going into our schools? Why can't we lower class sizes? Why must we hear about budget cuts and funding that has gone from the schools like into the ground?
All right, who will go first?
My family has the same issues that you have as far as the real estate taxes go. I live in a four-family home, and my parents pay a high mortgage. A lot of that is because of the real estate taxes. In our neighborhoods, your real estate tax is in relation to your rents. So they go by what maybe the average rent is in the neighborhood. They don't take into consideration you have family that you're trying to keep, maybe your parent living in one of the apartments. The real estate tax rates need to be reined in. We need to eliminate some of the government waste so they're not constantly looking toward homeowners to make up the difference in the money.
I too own a property and I'm going through the same problem. What we've noticed over the last 10 years, especially under this administration, is that taxes have increased double the amount of inflation. Once I'm elected, I will fight to make sure that there's a cap, that we freeze taxes at this point. We also need to look at water and sewer. Those two have been on an increase, double the inflation. And the problem is that this administration has been able to get away with this. And we need to stop it. One of the issues is, like Danielle said, is that when they're evaluating your tax, they're also going based on your income. We really need to reevaluate the entire structure of how we're assessing what our tax value is. Like you said, our tax properties have not gone up as much as of our taxes. There's not an equality where my property prices have gone up as much as I'm paying taxes. So it's the formula that needs to be reevaluated and re-examined. And that's one of the things I'm going to be focusing from day one.
I look at one of the responsibilities of my job are pass-throughs, which would be real estate taxes, common charges. And the tax rate for real estate taxes have, for many of the properties, class 2 to class 4, they've been pretty consistent between 11% or 13%. But the assessment values, they recently changed how properties are assessed. And 2 years ago, everybody's assessment went up 40%. So your tax rate, you say, oh, your taxes didn't go up. I remember hearing the mayor saying, we're not increasing taxes. But the assessments had gone up. Again, the first time 40%, and they readjusted it. Now the assessments are going up 15, 20% again. And this is just too much for small homeowners. One of the things that I would fight for, that 18.5% increase to these tax rates that were done 10 years ago, I would try to reverse that. Just take the 18% and go in reverse and lower the property taxes. I would look to, the city owns a lot of land, and if that land is something that can be developed, that's not open space, but is land that the city is just sitting on, why not sell it and put it into the pool of land ownership and increase the tax base? The other thing I would do, as I pointed out before, I printed out all the city agencies. I would cut some of these city agencies. We're paying bureaucrats. And the salaries that we're paying these bureaucrats is something that is money that we can put back into the community, we can put back into our discretionary funding, we can put back to all the city council members so they can invest in their community and hopefully help out people who are struggling in some fashion. If you shrink the size of government, the city could put the money towards more important things like schools and like assisting people who are, there's the senior citizen rent increase exemption, there's the disabilities exemption. They could help subsidize those programs more than paying people, a salary, because we have 3 or 4 agencies that pretty much cross each other and do the same exact thing.
I'm going to try and, I'm going to give you a chance to talk about some other things, because a lot of the topics that have been discussed have really not addressed some of the very important things I think that you all are aware of. So I'm just going to rattle them off, and then after my question, each of you could talk about the things that you think are important to you that haven't been addressed. My question goes like this. We have Astoria Studios, which is creating a huge universe of film, video production. It's becoming one of the most important industries in Queens and in Western Queens, along with the soda company. We have a culture environment here, with talent, with artists, with performers, with all kinds of things that make the community very rich in its offering to people who are living here. We have a lot of things that are in the community now that we haven't talked about. We talk about education, we talk about safety, education, libraries, all kinds of things. What are the things that we haven't talked about tonight in terms of economic development, or in terms of anything else that you want to talk about? In your final comments tonight, because it's already 8:45, what are the things that are most important in your mind that we haven't discussed that will make Astoria and this district stronger, better, better quality of life, etc.? So whoever wants to take that first. Gus, you look like you're ready to take that.
Thank you.
Sorry. Were you ready to take that first? Okay, ladies first. Lynn. No? Gus. You give me any more. All right.
All right, thank you. So, you're right, there are an enormous number of issues we barely touched upon tonight. We didn't talk about transportation. We didn't talk about, the infrequency of bus service, how, there's all this proposed development on the waterfront. The Q103 doesn't run on weekends. The Q18 is full by the second stop. So transportation is an issue I would love to have addressed.
Thank you.
You're welcome. For me, it's about a clean, green economy. So I did talk a little bit about green manufacturing jobs. You mentioned Astoria Studios as a way to attract people here and create jobs. I think what we need to do is invest in clean energy and energy efficiency. Energy efficiency addresses some of the issues that people mentioned about rents and property taxes. Our utility bills are out of control. 80% of our housing stock contributes to global warming. We need to make our homes more energy efficient. These are local jobs. Only a local person can install a solar panel on your roof. But those solar panels need to be made somewhere. We need to bring back green manufacturing jobs into our city. We used to manufacture here, we can do it again. Instead, we're giving great deals to developers to provide luxury waterfront, condos, towers, and I get so upset every time I think about the loss of our manufacturing zones and our industrial land. So transportation, clean energy, green economy, the need to create green jobs, and also, as I touched upon briefly, was the idea of open and fair elections. We're going to have likely a runoff election if no mayoral candidate or comptroller or public advocate candidate gets at least 40%. This means people have to go to the polls all over again. There is a solution out there. Most problems have solutions, it's usually not the political will. Instant runoff voting will save $20 million and avoid an unnecessary second election.
Great, thank you. John.
Absolutely, because of Captain Astoria Studios and Silver Cup and all the other ones. They're generating jobs, supporting small businesses, employing people. That's what we need. But there's a lot of other issues that we need to focus on. Where does all the money go that the lottery generates? It was supposed to go into the public schools. I don't see a penny of it. They talk about waste on the public schools. You know what the biggest waste is? The School Construction Authority. They can build a building and get anywhere from 100 million to 250 million. When we were on the board, we built modules that were nothing, cost nothing, modules. We built fabricated. Why can't they do that? No, because that's where all the plums are in giving up contracts. That's where all the money is. Let's put an end to that. Where's the money for our bridges? $750 to go on the bridge. It's an outrage. People don't make that in an hour. There's a lot of problems with our city, okay, that we have to change. Until we get people who are going to stand up and complain, like she said, about utility costs. How about the price of fuel? How about water and sewer? That's quadrupled in the last few years. And I remember when Mayor Bloomberg said right at 9/11 that we had to increase the real estate taxes, he said temporarily to help rebuild after the 9/11 tragedy. He said it was temporarily. He never reduced them, okay? Nothing goes down, everything goes up. Until we get politicians, elect people who have guts, we're going to lose everything. We're going to wind up like Detroit, unless we get people who are going to fight and ask these questions and say, where's the money? And let's put an end to all this corruption.
So best answer the question? Thank you.
You know, I've been hearing that quote that we're going to become like Detroit, but unfortunately, John, New York City is not just based on one industry, the automobile industry. And we're so lucky to be living in a city that's so diverse. And getting back to what Arthur said, about Kaufman Studios, we need to start focusing on two specific industries. The first one is tourism and entertainment. Even when we were going through the crisis, where we were losing jobs and companies were leaving out of New York, tourism still was coming to New York. It was a safe city to come and visit. The problem is, how do we get tourists from New York City to Astoria? We're only 10 minutes away. That creates jobs. Tourism creates jobs, creates business, creates revenue. The second one is that we're blessed to have so many of the artists in this community. We're so diverse. So being able to give them the opportunity to perform, to show us their talent, that's what's very important. So bringing those two things together immediately, sometimes we can do it right away on day one. Promote tourism and promote the arts. That's what's important right now for this community to continue to grow.
That's the point about tourism is very important because the city has a budget for tourism. It gives that budget to a company called NYC & Company, and that independent company is our tourism bureau. And getting them to allocate money to Western Queens versus Manhattan is a very, very important part of the advocacy that the city council member has to play.
My daughter is a member of Astra. She's an actress, and she plays the viola. I have artists in my family, musicians. So, and I've noticed that we've experienced that in schools they've cut their art, their music. My daughter goes to LIC, and she went there for their orchestra program, and they started cutting some of them out. She was first chair. She doesn't have that class anymore. And this is one of the main reasons why she went there. So if we can't bring it back into schools, I would absolutely love to find a way for other resources in the community to be able to have these kids have a place to perform, like you said, to have the outlet or to learn an instrument or continue to pursue the art. One of the things I feel very strongly about in our community are the seniors. Seniors are being pushed out of our community. I feel very strongly about making sure that there's a place for them to live, that we build more senior housing. I feel that it's not fair to these people. They're here, they're in this neighborhood, the real estate taxes, again, they go up, the rents are going up, they're being pushed out of their homes. They are the foundation of our community, and they have to move out because they cannot afford to live in Astoria. We don't have enough senior housing in Astoria or senior outreach, so it's very important to me to keep on top of that, make sure that they can stay here and stay in the neighborhoods that they built.
There are a few things. There's Astorians.com, there's liveinastoria.com, there's weheartastoria.com, there's boroughmagazine.com, there's all of these social networks and local magazines. They're all trying to achieve the same thing. And it's, as a representative of this district, I would definitely advocate trying to network a lot of the social networks, try to, see if they can work together and communicate with one another. So when we are looking at tourism and Calvin Studios and issues in the district where we want to bring in people to enjoy Astoria, that they can easily find it on social media. One of the things I noticed on OurLIC was your interview with Frank Arcabascio when you were walking down 30th Avenue and discussing how in Long Island City, a lot of new hotels have come up, and a lot of the people, they have a short trip into Manhattan, or they have a short ride up to 30th Avenue and Ditmars and enjoy the sidewalk cafes. One of the big issues I think that we still face in Astoria is the transit situation. We're talking about along the waterfront, we should be able to bring ferry service over to the hotel. I have an idea which obviously would have to be vetted. It may not work, but to possibly expand the G train line from Fort Square up 21st Street towards Ditmars. It would provide train service to the western part of Astoria to an area that's in much need of mass transit. There are a lot of issues that if you are trying to bring people into the district, the grid, the streets, you want to make sure that if people are riding their bikes, if we get city bikes here, that the roads that the city bikes are running on are safe. I see cars flying down 33rd Street, flying down Crescent Street all the time. And we want to be able to slow the traffic down. And another issue that I'd like to bring up that's very important, especially a person like myself, because I live right by it, is the construction of Mount Sinai's expansion for the next 3 years. We've had so many hospital closings, and we're fortunate that Mount Sinai is going to be able to expand and create a whole new wing so there are more hospital beds, and it's better oriented to bring people in emergency care. This is very important, but it's going to be an issue for the residents within the district. There's going to be air quality issues that are going to come up when they start tearing down the structure, and there's going to be safety issues because they have barricades that are up by the hospital. I live right behind the hospital, and for the next 2 or 3 years, city councilman or not, it's going to be something that I'm going to have to pay attention to, and something that I will pay attention to. But it's an important issue. It's going to get done, so we have to be able to make sure that the hospital is communicating with us, and we communicate with the hospital to make sure that this construction process goes as painlessly as possible for the people in the area.
Thank you. We have one more question. One more question, please. I'm going to get a microphone here. Bring it in.
I congratulate you all for coming. I don't give you hard to stay away because he thinks he's over the top. I think he's scared of me. I want you to know that you're all good people. And on the 10th, you have to get out to vote. Last year, through an action of a federal judge, many of our polling places were closed or changed. And I was supposed to get on the bus, Gus, to go vote now. I want you to give me a little plan about how in the schools that were affected, and there were many, it was a ripple on the waters. You go here, you go here, you go here. And I spoke about it all over the community. I called it bureaucratic disenfranchisement. It was really a political, you know what I mean. So, please address for these people are voters. They could be home watching telly tonight. I want you to tell me what your plan is to make it easier for me to vote without the mayhem that happened last year.
I'll start. I'll try to be brief. What's really sad is that the Help America Voter Act, which was passed on the federal level back in 2003, I believe it was, it instructed local communities and local governments to make sure that America has easy access, handicap access to get into polling sites. And unfortunately, our elected officials, Sheldon Silver and on the state level, dithered for a very long time. It took forever to get the new voting machines. And then all of a sudden, the Board of Elections says, oh, we can't have a polling place here. And all the politicians were like, what happened? Like, this has been around for a while, and this was, the process was going to go through, and nobody did anything. As a councilman, the first thing I would do is to go over the polling sites that are still open and the polling sites that were closed, see if the best way to make them handicap accessible or accessible under these new federal guidelines, and if they're not, to find a site that's near those locations so the people who were displaced in voting can go vote in an area or close to the area where they most vote.
Thank you. Let us keep this.
I know that there were a lot of people that had complaints in the Upper Ditmars area, PS2 taken away, and I hear that as I was out petitioning, a lot of people were making complaints that they couldn't get to voting stations. I'm hoping that, some of my absentee ballot program that we started would help, and we plan on going out just trying to transport people as best as we can. That's about all we can offer.
All right, thank you for that question. And you're right, it was done basically over this for specific reasons, and that was to get people frustrated and not to actually come out and vote. It's a political game that they tried to play. So in order for us to make sure that people do have the opportunity to come out and vote and not to be confused in this chaos, my campaign will actually have a van leaving in front of PS2 almost every other hour, transporting people to other voting locations. So there will be a van. So personally, as the Prentice campaign, we will rent our own vans and be able to transport people. You can actually visit my site at PrenticeNYC.com, and you can actually log in, give us your information, and then we'll get back to you and let you know exactly what time the van will be leaving. Oh, and by the way, we're also going to be doing the same thing with the senior centers. Because there's a lot of senior centers right now that don't have polling sites on the premises. Again, we will have vans there taking them to the polling sites.
I remember a Green Party campaign a few years ago where we actually had pedicabs riding people to the polls. So there are lots of options, and I think that's great. PS234 is now like this mega site. It used to have about 4,000 registered voters. They closed PS17. They've moved people around. It's now servicing over 9,000 registered voters. When you go there, it is complete chaos. You want to walk away. I mean, I feel like in some ways, the chaos that the Board of Elections has created is almost like the modern day poll tax. Unless you can afford to take 3 hours off work, you can't vote. It's disenfranchisement. In 2004, I ran the Ohio recount, monitoring the recount with 1,300 volunteers in 88 counties. It's amazing just how many opportunities there are to turn people away. So specifically, the idea of accessibility issues, many of these are schools. Many of the schools have to deal with accessibility issues to stay open, and so it is taking a look at the poll sites that were closed down. Why were they closed down? Are there measures that we can take? Are there different entrances or exits, whatever it might be? I'm also really concerned, though, that when the city moved to the new voting system, and I like the optical scan voting system, you have a paper ballot that then goes through an optical scanner. They presented these layouts to poll worker staff and said, this is how you should set your room up. It was a one-size-fits-all blanket answer. It just doesn't work because every poll site is different. Some poll sites, Catherine Sheridan was servicing far fewer voters than PS234. So I think that some of these issues, the Board of Elections really has got to give the power back to the poll inspectors. I also think there's a big problem with an aging poll worker population. My parents' generation, they work as poll workers. My generation, not so much. So, and the last one is poll worker training, because when we have changed the laws and we've implemented new voting equipment, our poll workers don't always know that. As people come, they get frustrated. I mean, there's just so many different areas that as a council member I would want to address, because I would want to serve on the elections committee, because this is an area that I'm very passionate about, as I mentioned as well. So thank you very much for raising this.
Gus, will you be serving refreshments on the bus? I'll come on. But, you know, the Board of Elections is another example of a bureaucratic misfunction. They're supposed to send every registered voter a postcard, where to vote. I remember last year, the presidential election, I didn't even get that card, so I went to my old site from 38th and Broadway all the way to IS 110, which is on about 50th Street, 31st Avenue. I walked. I got there, the school was closed, and they told me, no, you have to vote at Boulevard Gardens, another several blocks away, completely outside my district. It was outrageous. But I was determined to vote, and that took about an hour and a half. You don't trouble voters. You don't give people a reason not to vote, and our system is set up to give people a reason not to vote, and that's a sad thing. And you're right, your question is well founded. We've got to make elections easy, whether the mail-in ballot, maybe having a single non-party election. That would save a lot of money. They would talk about saving money. Have a single election with all the candidates you vote, whichever party you want to vote for. That'll save the city a lot of money. But they don't want that. They want to manipulate and control who comes out to vote and when they come out to vote. And that's a disservice for all the people of this city. And hopefully everyone here goes out to vote. You call 311, make sure where your site will be, because they constantly switch and change them. And they've closed a lot of them down, and that's really an injustice to all of us. But thank you very much.
Thank you. I want to thank you, Peter, for being here. Please give them an extra round of applause. Five candidates here. One candidate chose not to be here. I just want to call to your attention, just for the record, that Gus Princess, John Chapone are the two Democratic Party candidates who want your vote and who are here and who need them, however you choose, on September 10th. The other candidates will appear on the ballot anyway in November, and we wish everyone well, but these two candidates really need to have you go out and vote for one of them on the September 10th. I understand that the ballots this year are going to be back to the old style, machine ballots. So, I see my wife clapping back there. So just be aware that the ballot process is the old ballot process. Also, thank you to our press, from Trisha from the Queens Tribune, and Rick Bachman from Times Ledger, and of course, Tom Cogan, my friend from Queens Gazette, who is regularly reporting on all the things that the Lyon City Astoria Chamber of Commerce is doing, and we thank him for that. Frank Acabascio from the great culinary capital of the world, the 30th Avenue Business Association, I call it Merchants Association, really. But he has, just in case everyone needs to know this, he has a 30th Avenue Restaurant Week coming up in October. And so ask him about the 30th Avenue Restaurant Week. There's a lot of very good restaurants to participate. Tony Maloney, what can I say about Tony? He knows more about Long Island City too, but Astoria than certainly I do. And I'm so glad to have him here to moderate with me. Thank you, and thank you. Thank you for the great work you do. I remember when Tony and I talked about the fact that he was going to be devoting his time to his family right to the New York City. He said, Tony, you already do all the things that the city council is supposed to do. So he's a good guy. Thank you for being here. Also, I don't want to forget to thank the wonderful people from the Bohemian Hall. Here, Mr. William Ballas, thank you, man, and his board of directors that have made this space available for us tonight. With great gratitude, I thank you again, and thanks for doing that. Just because I want to be respectful, Tony, come on up here. Tony Arpaccio is candidate for Queensboro president. And I just want to give him 30 seconds. As a candidate, he deserves respect. He came here to hear the other candidates. We should hear him.
Great, thank you. I came the other night when you guys were at the board club. You guys do great, and honestly, it's really not about me, it's about them tonight. I thank you all for the opportunity. We've been out on the trail, and we're talked out. People in there, and I have been just doing all the candidate forums, so we've had our effect. You can hear my throat's a little sore. So I saw Peter earlier, I'm sorry I missed when he came up and spoke. But as I said to you guys, certainly, you got some big shoes to fill, and you know what, he set a great foundation for you guys, and I'm sure whoever does come out of this, follow his lead, and I'm sure you'll do really well. Thank you for serving us. Unfortunately, I got districted out of your district, believe it or not, by 1 block. So Jake Van Bramen's my councilman this year. Anyway, but I wish you all the best of luck. You guys did a great job. Good luck. Actually, one last comment. Everybody, just you people. And it's amazing because you watch Astoria, no matter what anybody says or what everybody's been saying, Astoria is a land that just breeds good people. And you have to understand that when you grow up here, or when you come here from somewhere else, and you come out in the night, it's very late, and you could have watched, like you said, it's great, you see anything else, and you could have been home relaxing, but you're here making sure that your voice is heard, and that's what it's about. So make sure you vote on that day, make sure you understand that the community is what its people are, and you guys are great. Have a good day. Thank you all.